tutorial on capturing a waybill. Now let's dive right in. And first off, we want to open File. We want to go to waybill. Okay. So usually when you do this, you're going to start out with the written out waybill that you've received from the person sending the cargo. On that waybill, there will be a document number. That document number you enter in the top left here. So let's just make something up. Okay. And then next you'll enter the document date. Now that document date is the date on which the person sending the cargo completed that form, completed the manual waybill. So that is the date that you need to enter there. You can enter that by just clicking here and then just selecting the date. There's no need to type out that entire thing there. Next, organizational unit is where you are located. Now, you don't have to worry about that. Most of the time, that will autofill automatically based on where you are logged in. Direct delivery is a thing that we use when we're sending cargo directly from a collection location to a delivery location. We use this exclusively when cargo is not going to be delivered to a warehouse or to a distribution center before sending it to the delivery location. So in most scenarios, you won't be using that. Next thing to note is on the right-hand side, we need to complete the account field. Now, this is the person or company who will be paying for the transfer of the cargo. If the client does not have an account, then firstly, that client will not appear on this drop-down list. So let's just start typing something here. You'll see it automatically fills in all the accounts. It gives you a drop-down menu of all the accounts that all the companies who have accounts with your company. So you can easily see who can we drive, whose cargo can we transport on account and whose can't we. So if somebody does not have an account, you simply fill in the field, and this will eventually tell the people doing the billing who they're supposed to invoice. And if you only fill in the invoice to field, then in most situations that will be cash on delivery. So in this account, let's fill in let's choose an account. So let's pick Pupkovits. And you'll see it automatically fills in the invoice to field because Pupkovits is going to be the people paying to transfer. Next, you'll see there's an order number. Now, how the order number and the client reference number works is in both cases, these are just reference fields. So if the supplier or the person sending the cargo gives you an order number, then you can put that in there like so. And if they have an invoice number or some other form of reference, you can put that in here. And all that is just to enable you to later on easily find the waybill. So a classic example is somebody buys a phone from Samsung. Samsung then sends that phone to that person via your company. Now, Samsung gives their client an order number as a reference. Now that person contacts your company and tries to find out where his phone is. Now, he doesn't have the waybill because Samsung completed the waybill. All he has is an order number, and then he gives that to you to find out where his phone is. Now, that order number field, you will easily be able to look up his waybill through the search menu, and you'll easily be able to tell him where his phone is and when you will be able to make the delivery. Okay, so next on, you'll see the collection details here on the left has already been auto-completed based on the account that we've selected. Now, here is a drop-down menu of all the accounts that we have all the locations that we've previously used on this account. Now, we did this was to make it easier to enter accurate information instead of filling these fields in repeatedly, completing them every single time you have a collection from a certain client. You can now credentials. So let's, for example, say we want to pick up this cargo at routers at 43 Street, Field, Johannesburg, South Africa. Um, Now, instead of retyping that every single time, I can now say add to add that address to the list. Um, and next time I want to use that particular address, I don't have to re-enter it. I can simply go to the drop-down list and I can select it from there, and I can continue. So it saves a lot of time, and it's a lot more accurate since you only have to enter the right information. The same thing goes for the delivery details. You can just drop down and select. You can add details, or if certain details are incorrect, you can go and say edit, and you can change information there. Say okay. There we go. Okay. Now, next thing you'll notice is there's an include local collection and include local delivery buttons here at the bottom. Now, what that does tells the system that you are going to make the collection and that it should charge the client appropriately. So let's say we want to go collect the cargo at that location, include local collection. But now the client says that the person he's sending the cargo to is going to come pick up that cargo at the distribution center here in Windhoek. So in that case, we will not include a local delivery. Time, you guys in Cape Town or Joburg not know that the cargo is going to be picked up. So I would actually recommend that you always click include local delivery. If the person decides to come pick up the cargo in Windhoek or at the delivery distribution center, they there will then be able to untick include local delivery, and the charges will be recalculated appropriately. Okay, so next thing you'll note is that here at the bottom we see Johannesburg, Zone A, South Africa, and here on the right it says Zone A, Namibia. Now this is important because it tells you that the system has accurately read and understood the address that you've put in here and here, and it's allocated that to the correct according to your location settings. Now, one reason that those addresses could be incorrect is, let's say you've misspelled Johannesburg, right? It's not going to show you where that is because it doesn't understand where that location is. It can't decipher that location. So first thing to make sure is always make sure that Johannesburg or that the locations are clean. Also, they need to be in a street, area, city, as you would with a letter. If, for example, you put it all in a single line, like so, it's also not going to understand that. It's not going to be able to figure out where that location is. So always make sure, one, that your locations are spelled correctly, and two, make sure that the format is proper, and then the system will easily be able to pick up where those locations are. Um, Now, here at the bottom, you'll see there is a small green plus sign, and this is essentially the what type of cargo we want to load. So in this case, we want to add a weight, and you'll see that a small bar appears here on the bottom. Now you can add multiple weights, can remove those lines as well. And essentially what this is this is the type of cargo that you're loading. Based on the account that you've selected here at the top, it's going to give you different options. So let's focus on that for a second. So let's assume that your company has an agreement, the client, that you would drive their cargo, based on volume, or based on weight, or based on the number of pallets, or based on the number of cans or boxes. Those different options will then appear here. So essentially, it gives you the ability to easily and quickly see what agreements are in place between your company and the client, managed by the accounts manager. So whatever the account manager changes or sets up for you, that's going to appear here. Okay, so let's continue. So I want to add 5 weights. Now this confuses people. Um, Weight is simply the type of cargo that we are driving, and this first field is the quantity. So it's not 5 kilograms, it's just 5 items. We're transporting 5, and in this case, they're boxes, 5 boxes, and the dimensions of those boxes are 12, 5, and 4. And the system will automatically calculate for you the what's it, metric weight for the dimensions that you've put in. Now, some of you might now be asking, but based on what volumetric factor it's calculating that? And the answer to that is that the system takes the volumetric factor account that you've selected. So let's say the account manager set up the volumetric factor at 3000 for that specific account. It's going to use 3000 to calculate the volumetric weight for that item. Next, you can add physical weight to if you measure the physical weight for that item. So 1,300, and the declared value 20,000. Okay. One question we get quite a lot is, let's say you have 5 boxes that have the same dimensions, but you have 2 other boxes that have different dimensions. You can't put them in the same line. So what you then do is you add another line. You say we have 2 boxes. Dimensions are 6, 4, and 5. Then add that on a separate line. Okay. Next thing we want to do, we want to cost and route. Okay. And now that cargo has been cost and route, and essentially what the system then does is it calculates the charges, and it calculates the route that the cargo will take from the collection to the delivery point. And in most cases, you will be what's it? Next thing you'll have to do is just say verify and receive. But just to make sure, you can go here under charges to see what the charges, how the system broke down the charges. So you'll see here that the system has did a collection delivery charge there, a transport charge, and a documentation charge. Also, you can go to routing to make sure that the system has routed the cargo correctly. Johannesburg, Windhoek. Um, and at this point, you simply have to say verify and receive, and then that cargo will be placed at your distribution center. So let's say verify and receive, and we can now select Johannesburg as the location. And now that cargo has been placed on floor and we're ready to go on to the next step. So that's the basics of capturing a waybill. If you have any questions, you guys can feel free to contact us at helpdesk@interlingo.com.